Let's start with the basics. What inspired the stage name? What inspired the figure? What does it mean to you?
I used to write graffiti when I was younger, and my graffiti name was Action Figure. Because of course, you know, we all grew up with action figures, but the letter balance of Action Figure, like how it started with an A and ended with, I just liked how I could lay it out when I tagged it, you know, so. And then when I grew up, I just took the action off and still used it, yeah.
All right. So I know you used to be more into the hip hop genre. What made you switch gears and start making bass music?
A lot of old drum and bass and a lot of really early dubstep. A lot of early dubstep to me, like a lot of Hatchet stuff, Youngsta, Benga, all that. It sounded like hip hop to me because it just beats. I mean, still to this day, dubstep to me is just literally a beat. It's just a beat. Like it's just instrumental music the whole time. So I was already making hip hop instrumentals, and then I heard that, and it just sounded a little bit crazier, a little more energetic. So I just started, trying to integrate that.
So, what were some of the artists, whether it's dubstep, drum and bass, punk, death metal, that you were listening to at the time and got influence from?
Ooh, I'm good right now. Gruesome, it's a metal band, yeah. Gruesome's really good. And Pedigo is this old thrashy, like thrash metal band. Dubstep wise, I think the only dude that really influences me is, I grew up with them, but it's Space Laces. And man, that dude's been talented before anyone knew. Like that's been his name, but no one knew because he didn't give a shit about putting music out. He just liked making music. But to see how quick to see actual talent shine through that fast, because normally it's with people blow up because clever marketing, they hire the right people, they get with the right manager and all the shit, and they blow up with garbage music. But Space Laces is like out-producing everyone, and he blew up just because he's so fucking good. And he's still blowing up. Like, it's not like he's even close to his pinnacle yet. He's just rising and shitting on everyone as he comes up. Code Pandorum, he's really fucking good. I think these last 2 years he set his balls down on everyone's face, dubstep wise. Like, no one sounds like him. There's a lot of this used to be a thing 10 years ago where you heard a track and you knew who it was but you didn't have to look at the record or laptop, whatever you were listening to it on. You just knew who it was. That has recently kind of stopped because everyone kind of sounds like each other, because people really focus more on, will other DJs play this? I'll make that. They're not worried about their own vision. But there's people like Code Pandorum and Space Laces that sound exactly like their fucking thing. They have their own vision. That's what influences me, because I feel like I still haven't adapted to the new era. That's why I'm staying at the size I'm at right now, because I'm not gonna make some big rhythm banger if it doesn't sound like me, or I'm not gonna make it just because I know that it will help my career. That shit's real easy to make. It's dope, but like I try to follow that model of just staying true to what I wanted to do, no matter what's going on around me. So yeah.
Well, that brings me to another question. So, much like the horror movie genre and all the genres, electronic music is constantly evolving. Artists are always striving to make something new, something different, something crazy, something intense. So with that being said, what are some trends right now that you do like, that you do enjoy? What's a trend that you wish would just die off?
Well, I think sound design is getting really fucking crazy right now, where there's noises that you haven't heard before. That's really nice. But again, then those noises will be chopped into a typical rhythm thing or something like that. I'm like, oh man, you really had something there. You should have, don't worry about what's going on. Like, just do your thing. And one of the trends that I really do like is some things are getting simpler and some younger kids are starting to go back to the roots of dubstep, and there's these simple, well-made, almost retro tracks being put out. Like Conrank is murdering it. He's on Circus, and he's making shit that if it would have came out 10 years ago, it would have been the biggest fucking thing ever. And it's still big. I mean, it's selling well. He's doing very well. But the people like me that's been around for a while, when I hear that, I get a fucking hard on. Because now I can play something that has new dynamics, the new school dynamics of everything, you know, sounding so damn crisp. Yeah. But it sounds like some throwback shit. So the whole throwback thing is really good. But yeah, the trend that I wish would die off, other than people thinking rhythm is new, is I'm talking about rhythm way too much, but I mean, it was already a genre before we used it. Like, it's kind of like how EDM started saying trap music, especially we're in Atlanta. Like, no, motherfucker, that was already a thing. Yeah, that was already a thing. Like, don't use that. Like, I'm not gonna come out in 20 years and start making. I'm not gonna do a punk band and say it's trance. Just be like, no, because you know.
It's similarity.
You know.
Yeah. So, I'll take it back a little bit. What point did you decide you wanted to make music your career? It was always a pipe dream. I still live in Indiana, but I grew up in Indiana, and there's no making it there with music. But I knew that I didn't want a full-time job, anything like that. I tried. What up? Yo, we're doing an interview. Hold on 2 seconds. I love you. I haven't seen you forever. But it was just... I always wanted to do... I had construction jobs, roofing jobs, siding jobs, and then try to go to even work in a Guitar Center, and I was like, this is half and half. We're halfway there. And I was always making music and always trying to just push it. I didn't think it was going to happen, but slowly, when it made more sense for me not to work because these shows were getting booked and not paying much compared to what DJs in general get paid for today, because this is before the term EDM was there. It's before everything really blew up, but it still made more sense to just quit and go tour. And of course my mom didn't like that. She thought, you're fucking up, you're not. And I'm like, Mom, I can get my job back at Guitar Center or Home Depot. It's okay. Like, it's not a big deal. But yeah, it was a slow thing. And then, you know, still to this day, it's not something I want to look at as a career, because that's how I spoil my fun making music. Because I'm like, well, I better make a good move here to keep this going. Yeah. That's not the creative side of it. That fucks it all up. I want to just enjoy what I do and then put it out and not worry about the career part of it. It's hard because that creeps in, and that goes back to the earlier thing. That's why some people are producing things that doesn't necessarily sound like them, but they know it's going to go off, and people are going to, you know what I mean? But, yeah. So, this being the last night of the Bloodbath tour, talk about difference a bit. So why the name Bloodbath?
I just think it sounds good, man. It's a hard-ass name. It sounds like a good metal band or some shit like that, like Bloodbath.
So yeah, I know touring can get tough sometimes. So what are some ways that you find to relax when you can?
I spend a lot more time in the hotels than I did when I started touring. I used to check in 10-something years. I used to check in, throw my bags out, and just get in a taxi and go to the city to see everything the city had to offer. But there's so many times, like, I love Atlanta, but there's only so many places I can keep going shopping at. Or keep, you know. So there's only a couple repeat things that work everywhere. It's arcade bar, like barcades. That's that. Going seeing movies, going to comic book stores, or just sitting in the hotel and reading, playing Switch, something like that. But that's how it's. And also, you're going to come here and talk to all these people you never met before, and then play the show in front of people you don't know, all this stuff. So keeping yourself centered, just being calm before the storm. Yeah.
All right. So, are there any moments that stand out, or maybe that you'll never forget from this tour?
Honestly, man, just the tour itself. This is like my maybe 9th like headlining tour I've done myself, and to even be able to have interest to like tell my manager, okay, we're gonna do the same thing, like we're gonna, September to the end of the year, and he's like, all right, boss, we got you, and then they send out all these emails and everyone comes back and books it. That's the high point of always just there's somehow still an interest. That's dope. If there wasn't an interest, I would still be making the music in my house, working back at Home Depot or Gard Guitars or whatever. But just the typical things. If you want to talk about like DJ wise, little things like testing a new song out that I didn't think was too dope, and my friends didn't make the stink face at when I showed them in my studio, and I was like, oh shit, man, I thought this was the one, and they're like, it's okay, and then I play it out, and people are like whistling and screaming and going crazier than the track I played before it, which could have been a very popular track from someone else that they knew. You know what I mean? That's always where I get off on stage, is when I play something brand new, and if you don't announce it that it's a new one, because they're always going to go off if you go, this is a brand new one. They're just going to go off because they know they're the first people to hear it. But when you play a brand new one for the first time and don't announce that it's brand new and they go off, that's good. That's how you know that you have whenever that comes out, you're like, music-wise, you're good for 2 months. Because you know that you're about to put out something that everyone's going to like. Yeah.
So, you going to do another tour like this in the future?
Oh, yeah. Not stopping. Not stopping.
Well, we got to see you at the sound camps at Lost Lands this past year. Did you get to go out into the festival and explore?
Oh, all the time. Yeah. I was actually there 2 days before. I live 3 hours away, and Excision's that's my dude. Like, outside of music, even, that's like, he's a friend. So, and I support what he's doing for the dubstep community, the heavy bass community. I mean, he's basically being like, hey, we don't need to fight to be on your multi-genre festival. Our shit's big enough where we can just do this all in one, all inclusive, all heavy shit, So yeah, I went and I always walk around. Sometimes it gets overwhelming because I think I'm gonna like mask myself and put a towel over my head, but I forget like I'm covered in tattoos and all this other shit, and then I forgot to like actually pack clothes. So all I had was my merch. So I'm walking around in my own shirts. So it's hard to walk around because every 2 steps it's just like picture.
Undercover.
Which is cool, but like I can't do shit about it.
Well, you kind of answered my next question about, do you think this festival, along with Bass Canyon, has a positive effect for heavy bass music and its fan base? Yeah, do you think festivals like Lost Land and Bass Canyon have a positive effect for heavy bass music and its fan base?
An impact?
Have a positive impact.
Oh, positive. Bass music. Well, of course, it makes everyone actually feel like a family. It lets them know that this thing that they're actually dedicated to has its own spot. It's really important. Like, he really stepped up to do what he's doing. For Jeff to do what he's doing. So, yeah, it's kind of, they got the validation of knowing that this is as real as we thought it was. This is actually a thing. Yeah, we can get big, I'm not going to name festivals and like shit on people, but we can get main stage crowds that these massive festivals in big cities can get just for dubstep for 13 hours. It's a big fucking deal. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you're very appreciative of the fan base. So much you started Free Finger Fridays.
Yeah.
Which is hard to say. And, Richie sent horror movie memorabilia out to fans just for simply being fans, right?
Yeah.
So has there ever been a gift that a fan has given you that you hold dear to your heart that really surprised you?
Yeah, there's a couple. me explaining this is almost a waste of time. You know, on this, I'll send you a picture and you have to post it. But this dude took like 2 weeks and did a 37 layer picture where he cut these little, he cut, I can't even explain it, man. I got the most insane piece of art that took longer to make than a fucking album does. And it just looks like a thing on the wall, and then I pull it down and I turn it to the side and you can see the layers, and everyone's jaw just fucking drops. Like, yeah, I got 8 years ago or something like that, someone's father had an old vinyl pressing machine and all this other shit, and he pressed a bunch of my old Monster shit onto vinyl that does not exist. And I was like, dude, like that's probably the fucking craziest one, because that's not even white label bootleg shit. That's non-existent. Household, yeah, that one was crazy.
So, for your new fans, for your old fans, gotta ask the question: what is your all-time favorite horror movie, and what movie genuinely creeped you out, made you feel unsettled?
Okay, all-time favorite always changes. Always changes. My go-to helps me sleep, also always keeps my interest, is always The Shining. But then there's so many like B movies, like really bad old movies that I like to go to. But if you would look at my most played of my lifetime horror movie, it would be The Shining. Of course, Evil Dead, all this. See, it sucks when no matter how deep I get into that world, my answers will always be the same as someone that's not as deep into that world. They're like, yeah, The Shining's amazing. It's a classic. I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm not naming some shit that no one's ever heard of. And the movie that makes me feel uncomfortable is probably Serbian film. Just look it up. It's in my TerraVision. It's fucked. Yeah. And Green Room, or Green, what was it called? Fuck, it's an Eli Roth movie about cannibalism. Green Inferno, yeah. Because there's all the old cannibal movies, but this was so fucking detailed and nasty. And the people that were in the movie that went to the island, I know people that remind me of that. Like, I know those are my friends. You know what I mean? So I can put myself in that place. Like, yeah, I'll go do that and defend the trees getting cut down. Why not? Like, I'm not a fucking hippie, but like, why not? You know? And yeah.
All right, okay, just two more. So do you get much inspiration from living outside the city, kind of like in solitude? You get inspiration for your music from that?
Yeah. All my inspiration comes from everything else but dubstep. That's the whole point. I mean, if I listen to everyone else's music to get inspiration to go make my own music, it's going to reflect everything else going on. So I don't pay attention. I know the producers that I want to play their music, and they're my friends, and so they send me their new shit. Sometimes I go on SoundCloud and browse around for new kids, but for the most part, I'll find out about the new up-and-comers from green room conversations. Like, I'll play a show with Midnight Trainosaurus. I'm like, yo, so because he pays attention. He knows those motherfuckers that, like, no one knows about yet, but they're making crazy shit. So, like, so what's going on? Like, who's what? He's like, oh, there's this kid, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. Then I'll look that up. I'll play it, but I just don't pay attention. I want to stay outside of the box, because if I'm not paying attention to what's going on, it's going to be very hard for me to get pinned down to any current sound.
That's badass. All right, so follow you on Instagram. I see you got a big green egg. Mm-hmm. You throw down barbecue?
Oh, yeah.
So are you just the last question, you a brisket guy or a pulled pork guy?
Pulled pork. Well, I mean, we're both, right? Like, yeah. Every man loves both of them, but pulled pork. I actually just replaced the green egg. I still have it.
I saw it with the black.
Yeah, it's called like a primo or some shit like that. And my mom was showing me, and I'm like, I'm not shitting on the green egg, man. Like, the green egg is the best it gets. And she's like, well, it was when it came out. Yeah. And now all these other companies are doing it better. And not even for cheaper, they're just doing it better. So this one is 2.5 times the size, cooking wise, you know, and just it seems so much. I haven't even used it yet, but everything about it seems like it might kind of make the green egg take a nap for a second.
So which region has the best barbecue in your opinion?
Whoa.
That's a hard one.
I mean, I'm gonna go with Texas or Tennessee. Yeah, I got family in Tennessee, so I want to say that more, but Texas knows what the fuck's up. So, yeah, Texas is more tries to impress you more, but Tennessee is just some home cooking. This is our fucking recipe and deal with it. Something. Yeah, I could be eating my foot on that one, but like that's just how from my experiences going to certain places, you know. Yeah. That was awesome, man.
Thank you so
Good
much.
question.